The hour of 7 p.m. having arrived, and in the absence of the mayor, I will call to order this regular meeting of the Keene City Council. And as provided for in Section 6 of the city charter, I will call the roll before we entertain a motion to elect a temporary chair for this evening. Brian J. Lake.
Here.
Michael J. Remy.
Here.
Michael Giacomo.
Here.
Randy L. Filio.
Here.
Robert C. Williams.
Here.
Philip M. Jones.
Here.
Andrew M. Madison.
Here.
Chris E. Roberts.
Here.
Raleigh C. Ormerod. Bettina A. Chadbourne. Here. Catherine I. Workman.
Here.
Mitchell H. Greenwald. Kate M. Bosley.
Here.
Thomas F. Powers.
Here.
For the purposes of electing a temporary chair, I would like to recognize Councilor Bosley for a motion, and Councilor Greenwald was slated for the second, so we'll have to choose someone else to do that. Thank you.
I move to elect Councilor Powers as our temporary chair.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Councilor Powers, will you join us up front?
Thank you. This meeting is being broadcast live on the City of Keene YouTube channel. The video is also streamed on the city's website and is posted on the website by the end of the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. If you'd like to receive an electronic city council packet to reference while viewing future broadcast, please contact the city's clerk's office during the business hours or go to the city's website and subscribe to the city meetings email list. The agenda is also accessible from any mobile device. The Pledge of Allegiance was going to be Councilor Ormerod, so Councilor Chadbourne.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Minute meetings, the preceding meeting, October 5th. You normally read,
We'll just take as Councilor
Yep.
Bosley.
okay. Councilor Bosley for a motion, Councilor Remy for a second.
Move to accept the minutes from the October 5th, 2023 regular meeting as printed.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? No one opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Now, we've had some birthdays this month amongst the council. Councilor Raleigh Ormerod, October the 8th. Kate Bosley, October 11th. Andrew Madison, October 22nd. The youngest, no, maybe. Regretfully also, I need to announce the passing of retired Call Deputy Fire Chief Paul Zock. Paul also was the chief of Southwest New Hampshire Fire District Mutual Aid, and there'll be some details coming out in the very near future. Other announcements, PLD will be meeting Wednesday, October 25th. Another reminder is there's a special city council meeting non-public for personnel scheduled on November 1st, 2023 at 6 p.m. Another reminder is that Wednesday, November 22nd, MSFI meeting has been moved to Tuesday, November 21st in anticipation of holiday activities. And there are two issues that will require the MSFI committee to meet that week, so that's why it's been moved. And then finally, there will be a special meeting of the City Council on Thursday, November 9th at 5:45 p.m. to canvass the votes cast at the municipal general election. This will be a very brief meeting. It will occur before the 6 p.m. start time of FOP. So we have hearings, presentation, proclamations. And I have a presentation here for an individual. Edward. See, he knew how to answer that. Step right up here, sir.
Thank you. I was thrown by the Edward.
I didn't understand who that was.
Thanks, Chief. Yes, sir. It's like being on Jeopardy.
In appreciation of Edward C. Sweeney upon his retirement, resolved by the City Council of the City of Keene as follows. Whereas Edward C. Sweeney began his career with the City of Keene in Parks, Recreation, and Facilities Department on June 17, 2008, serving as Parks and Cemetery Maintenance Superintendent throughout, and being involved in the care of 17 parks, plus pocket parks, 9 cemeteries and a chapel, 8 playgrounds, 8 trailways, 5 community courts, 4 ball fields, 3 community spaces, 2 swimming pools, a bike path, a skate park, and the maintenance building. And whereas responsible for the administration and implementation of maintenance programs for parks and cemetery facilities on either a seasonal or year-round basis, Chuck's vast skill set and core knowledge related to parks and cemetery operations, especially in turf management, irrigation, and general landscaping practices, motorized equipment, and organic and sustainable practices, has been a key to the department's success in meeting its mission. And whereas a good listener with attention to detail, who continues to learn industry trends and who can see problems present themselves before they occur, Chuck works with multiple departments, as well as with members of the Ashwheelet River Park Advisory Board, Bicycle and Pedestrian Pathways Advisory Board, Greater Goose Pond Stewardship Committee, and others involved in the Parks Recreation Master Plan, always open to new ideas and always working to meet in the end goal. And whereas a member of the New Hampshire Cemetery Association since 2009, its president from 2017 to 2018, Chuck has seen a significant change in cemetery operations. As families use traditional funeral homes less and rely on his customer service, skills, and knowledge directly to make final arrangements, and he has gone above and beyond to meet families' needs in their time of grief, keeping everything confidential and consistently earning praise for both himself and his team. And whereas his leadership, one of his strongest talents, Chuck values and cares about his staff and has developed a team that is well aware of his high standards for ethics and safety, understands the big picture, is empowered to be part of the decision-making process, performs at the maximum level of efficiency, and is diligently thanked by him. And when the crew inflates during the summer months with seasonal and summer youth employees, he carefully selects the right persons for each project. And whereas a few of Chuck's other strengths and accomplishments include confronting problems and seeking their solutions, learning to expect and adapting to the unexpected in everyday operations, being a vital player in the winter operations, reorganization that supports public works, creating ideal playing conditions on sports fields, implementing a tree management program as part of the emphasis placed on the appearance of parks and cemeteries, and stretching his budget through careful purchasing. And whereas, in addition to managing, upgrading, and ensuring the safety of these city assets, Chuck served as a member of the Personnel Advisory Board and earned an Employee Achievement Award for 2015. And whereas Chuck retires October 27th, 2023, slightly over 15 years, honorable, dedicated, great service to the city. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of Keene hereby extends its sincere thanks to Edward C. Sweeney for his dedication to the City of Keene and the Monadnock region, and wishes him the very best for retirement years. And be further resolved that a copy of this resolution properly engrossed be presented to Chuck in appreciation for his years of service to the City of Keene. It's a pleasure to
Yes, sir. Short speech. I was born and grew up in the city of Keene, played on its ball fields, Carpenter Field, which is now Pat Russell Park, saw the transformation of that. Wheelock Park, learned to swim in the pools, played basketball, and was proud to say that I learned to dunk a basketball at the old gymnasium only because of its springy floor and the 8-foot baskets on the side that were set aside for the youth. Had a great time. I was very honored to be given the job 15 years ago, took it very seriously, and had a great crew and a great support staff of all of you. City manager, thank you very much. And it's been an honor and a pleasure to work for Andy, to work with Bree, and to be a part of this fine city of which like I said, I was born, grew up. Actually, I never grew up, I just got older. And thank you very much, Chief, for your time and this award. Thank you.
If Peter Hansel would join me up here, please. It's a proclamation. Whereas clean energy and energy conservation are important to Keene's energy future as they reduce pollution and reliance on a diminishing supply of non-renewable energy sources. And whereas the City Council of Keene adopted goals and a plan to move the city and community to 100% renewable sources of energy for electricity by 2023 and 1,000 renewable sources for thermal and transportation needs by 2050. And whereas the City of Keene's Community Power Program enables the city to purchase power on behalf of Keene residents and businesses and sources more energy for renewables. And whereas the City of Keene and its residents, businesses, and other organizations are making great strides to reduce energy usage and transition to renewable sources, and that should be celebrated. And whereas residents and business owners of Keene can contribute to our sustainable energy progress by learning about and participating in energy-related events and programs throughout the month of October, which are listed on the KeeneNergyWeek.com. And whereas the City of Keene Energy and Climate Committee, Clean Energy Team, Monadnock Sustainability Hub, and other public and private groups and individuals have worked together to promote a week of celebrating Keene's achievements while increasing awareness and education around energy usage. And whereas October is National Energy Awareness Month, therefore, I, George Hansel, Mayor of the City of Keene, New Hampshire, do hereby proclaim the week of October 21st through 28th, 2023, as Keene Energy Week in Keene, and encourage all citizens to celebrate by participating in educational and awareness activities. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand and the official seal of the City of Keene this 19th day of October, 2023. George S. Hansel, Mayor.
Thank you. Keene is indeed fortunate to have a city council and staff that supports this effort. We, on the Energy and Climate Committee, along with lots of help from Mary Brunner and other staff members, have been working hard to try and move our city away from fossil fuels towards renewable energies by 2030 for the electricity, and by 2050 for transportation and heating uses. This Energy Week is something that we have done in the past. This one looks to be as good, if not better, than the ones we've done in the past. Please check it out on the website that was mentioned in the proclamation. And again, thanks to the Clean Energy team and Monadnock Sustainability Hub and a lot of citizens that have been helping the city make this important transition. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item B, elections, nomination, appointments, and confirmations.
We have a nomination from the mayor to the Partner City Committee. This is for Andrew Madison to fill slot number 7, which is an unexpired vacant term as a regular member. That term will expire December 31, 2024.
And this will be tabled to the next regular meeting of the city council. Item C is communications.
And this is a communication from the Kiwanis Club of Keene. They are requesting their annual use of city property to conduct the 2023 tree lighting ceremony on Central Square on Friday, December 24th.
And this will be referred to Planning, License, and Development Committee. Next item.
And we have a communication from the Keene Young Professionals Network, and this is a request for the 2024 Taste of Keene Food Festival license, and that event is slated to be held on June 1st, 2024.
And this will be referred to Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee and will be placed on more time to allow protocol team meetings to occur. And then it will come back to the committee for action. And the third item.
And this is a request on behalf of the Keene Snow Riders. They are once again looking to use city rights-of-way to run snowmobiles, and this would be for the time frame of December 15th through March 30th of 2024, snow cover permitting.
And this also will be referred to Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee. Item number 4.
We have a communication from Jan Manwaring. She's resigning from her position on the Human Rights Committee, and she has been on the committee since January of 2022.
Looking to Counselor Bosley for a motion, Counselor Remy for a second.
I move to accept the resignation with regret and appreciation for service.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, or any question, any discussion? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? No one opposed. Thank you very much. Item number 5.
We have a resignation that was received from Gregory Kleiner. He's resigning from his position on the Historic District Commission. Mr. Kleiner's been serving on the board since April of 2022.
Counselor Bosley for a motion, Counselor Remy for the second.
Move to accept the resignation with regret and appreciation for service.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? No one's opposed. Thank you very much. Unanimous. Item D, reports, council committees.
We have one report tonight. It's from the Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee, and it's relative to safety concerns on the east side of Keene. On a vote of 4-0, the Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee recommends that the safety concerns brought forward be referred to the city manager with the request that there be a report back to the committee.
We have a motion from Counselor Filio and a second from Counselor Workman.
Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Been moved and seconded.
Thank you. As you all know, MSFI last week before a full house, we addressed letters from many of the east side neighbors, as well as a letter that I addressed concerning some of the homelessness and homeless shelters. Many of the east side neighbors spoke up about their concerns about increased vandalism and troubles in the neighborhood. I obviously spoke about the issues with some of the homeless camps and some of the issues that are facing us among the homeless in Keene. The issues are kind of all brought together because they tie in a little bit together. And after a couple-hour discussion, the committee moved to send it to the city manager to have her look into the issues, see which things could be done. The East Side neighbors made a bunch of recommendations they hope that we can implement. The city manager can do some of these without any further council action. Some of them will require council action because some of them are going to potentially cost money. And also, there's some updates on some of the homeless tent city cleanups that have been going on. So we voted unanimously 4-0 to move this along. I hope you will too. In the meantime, though, I'm sure the city manager has a couple of things to add to my comments. Thank you.
Any further discussion from councilors?
Thank you. If you were present at the meeting or listened to the recording afterwards, you may recall I didn't have my speech with me on the day of MSFI. So I did want to just take a moment. I brought a few things that I wanted to show at MSFI, and I didn't have the opportunity to because I wasn't prepared. I had discussed about how needles are used for other things other than drug injection. So I had noted that diabetes, for example, is one of those. And I know that that is a big safety issue, is the amount of used needles in public spaces. So I just wanted to show a few things. I'm a cat owner. My cat happens to be diabetic, unfortunately. So the vet had given me a way to dispose of the needles, and I just wanted to share that because it was pretty mind-bending to me. So you have here a Sharps container. This right here is what I use to cut the needles off of the syringes after they've been used. Fits in your pocket, it's fully contained, no way of hurting yourself. This goes for $7 online. You open it like this. You see here, you put the syringe in, you clip it off. This holds 1,500 needle heads. And at the end, it cuts off the needle. So you're left with just a syringe that does not harm anyone except for, obviously, any blood-to-blood transfer. So I just wanted to share that as one of the harm reduction tools in the toolkit that we have available to us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few comments. I did speak extensively at the MSFI meeting. Talked a lot about the housing stability group that we had created and the work that they did for the last year, and the progress we've made, and we've made a lot of progress. The neighborhood brought forward a lot of good suggestions, and the plan is for me to come back to MSFI with a report as to what things we can accomplish and what things, like Councilor Filio was saying, will need money, budget items. So we have already done some trail clearing. We are evaluating different fencing options in different areas of the city, and we are currently looking at lighting options. One of the things that came out at the MSFI meeting was the Serenity Center's role in a needle exchange program that they have here in the city, because there's a lot of concern around needles. And Morgan, who works at the Serenity Center, let everyone know that they will also pick up needles. So if there's a place that has needles and someone is concerned, there's another resource for people to reach out to. One of the other questions that came out or comments at the MSFI meeting was around public bathrooms, and the question related to the Pat Russell Park bathrooms. We had been, and I didn't check with Andy today, but we had been waiting for a part to come in, but those bathrooms will be available 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Once we have that part. Also, as part of the downtown project, we've been discussing public bathrooms being incorporated in that project when the project moves forward. That will be a conversation during the capital planning that occurs in January. There was also concern related to code enforcement in the area and some of the housing stock. And I have asked the Community Development Department to do a presentation at MSFI. I think it's going to be in December, just about code enforcement, how we approach code enforcement, and what it would take to have a more aggressive, proactive code enforcement program. What would that look like? So that will be in December. Also, in the city, I have created a city task force, which works across the organization, so with police and fire and human services, public works, our health officer, community development office. And we, every other week, we brainstorm issues that we're seeing in the community and ways to address them, and then we sort of task out amongst the people at the meeting who's following up on what. And one of the things we've been talking about is maybe utilizing that task force in the future for some public input opportunities as well, because we just don't have the capacity to create more committees, and that might be a way for us to accomplish it, some of the concerns that people had. And one of the really great things that we heard at the meeting is create a list of volunteer opportunities. People want to help us. They really want to help us. So that's awesome. And so when I report back to MSFI, I'm going to be looking for ways that they can help us. And of course, I have to talk to the city attorney because he'll tell me, this is good, this is not good. But we'll find ways for people to help us. And so if you have suggestions on what that looks like as well, please let me know, and I can incorporate that in the MSFI report as well. And then I mentioned at MSFI, I do have an upcoming meeting with 100 Nights to talk about winter capacity and just capacity in general. One of the concerns that I have is as we see increasing numbers of homeless individuals, it's getting difficult to find places for people to go. And, you know, we have used every resource available to us, but I would love to be able to use 100 Nights more than we currently do. And so, especially as the winter months are approaching, you know, if we could talk about when a vacancy opens up at 100 Nights, you know, finding a way to reserve that for people that we have here in our community coming to us looking for shelter. You know, as you know, right now, if a vacancy opens up, they report it to the state, and it goes to the 211 program, and that opens up to anyone looking for shelter in the state. So I'm hoping to have that conversation. And then the UCC has been talking to us about working with the city for an overflow shelter. And so we're working with them on that, and I'll report more when at MSFI. And then lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about the cleanup of encampments that's been going on. I have talked briefly about that in previous manager updates, but there's been more work. So one of the things that we've been doing is working with property owners, so private property owners that have large encampments. There was an encampment near Stone Arch Bridge that had been there for decades. It was a combination of private property owner and state property. That we worked with those organizations, those people, the private owner and the state, to get that property cleaned up. And we've done the same with behind Kohl's recently and Pearl Street. So those are 3 properties. And I'll tell you what we're doing. And we're having conversations with them about the need to get the property cleaned up, but we are providing a place for them to put the trash, and then we are disposing of the trash. So they are hiring the contractors, and then we are taking the trash. In these large encampment areas, it's a public health concern. We obviously don't want to take the liability of going on to the private property, but we do want to incentivize them to clean up these lots. And so that's what's been happening. I have a meeting coming up with the owners of the property behind Hannaford, and I'm hoping we can have some conversations about that parcel as well. And then after MSFI, Councilor Workman and I got a chance to have a great conversation with the organizers of the community meetings, and they are happy to share information because they learned a lot at MSFI about what's happening and the work that the city is doing, and they want to be helpful to us in sharing that information. And so we are going to better coordinate with them, and when they have their neighborhood meetings, be able to hopefully answer some of their questions and provide information. And so that's my update for now, and I'll give them a better update at MSFI.
Just to follow up what the city manager just said, the cleanup behind Kohl's, when we think about trash, I've heard a couple of people say dumpsters, and behind Kohl's, the city assisted, they picked up 28.5 tons of trash, 57,000 pounds, 28.5 tons. And the cleanup behind Hannaford's is probably going to be more extensive. That gives you an idea of how much trash we're talking about. We're literally talking landfill. So when people think a little bit of trash or a couple of barrels or even some trash bags, 20.5 tons of trash is going to take a heck of a lot of trash bags.
Counselor Madison.
Thank you, Your Honor. So every year I help organize the cleanup on Beaverbrook, which cuts through the East Keene neighborhood. And every year we find more and more containers chock full of needles. I've stepped on needles. I've come out with my waders looking like I just stepped on a porcupine, except one made of needles. We find vast quantities of them, and one of the things that I'm hoping to see from the city is more sharps containers like Councilor Workman has suggested in Pat Russell Park, because unfortunately that is becoming a hot spot for that kind of activity. Not to mention the general trash we routinely find in Beaverbrook. I mean, this year we pulled out a couch. A couple years ago I pulled out, I think, 4 mattresses, all queen size, by the way. I don't know if you've ever hauled out a queen-size mattress that's been sitting in a river for several months, but like, yeah, it's fun. I enjoyed it. But I also wanted to mention, I live in the North Central neighborhood, which is the neighborhood between Court, Washington, and Route 9. And the issues that the East Keene neighbors brought up are very real, but they're not just limited to East Keene. We are running into many of the same issues in my neighborhood as well. And I thought I would list out some of the issues I've run into recently. Back when I lived on High Street, I had an individual live in my entryway for 3 days until he tried to break into my apartment. And then when I kicked him out, he was arrested the next day for holding someone against their will and repeatedly raping them. So that's the kind of stuff I had to deal with. I also had a neighbor who liked to walk up and down High Street screaming that she was going to call Donald Trump and have Donald Trump either kill me or take me away in the middle of the night. That didn't play out, thankfully. We've had issues with numerous houses that have just been very poorly maintained or very poorly managed. Across the street from my house, we've had one house that suffered a fire about 18 months ago and was only addressed by the property owner very recently after hi, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me, not to quote Taylor Swift, contacted code enforcement to get the ball rolling on that. And before, that house was such a notorious drug house that we actually had traffic jams from people going there to purchase drugs. They would line up down Elm Street. We actually had traffic issues from people going to the drugstore. It was pretty ridiculous. More recently, we've had an issue on Union Street with a party house that was located at the corner of Union and Green. Councilor Jackman might be familiar with that house. It's an Airbnb, and last weekend they had a full-size coach bus bring partiers there, party all night long. I mean, but the short-term rentals aren't an issue in the city, so, you know, I have heard multiple complaints, and I have reached out to Airbnb directly to ask them to address the complaints, and I've told my neighbors to start contacting the police department, but you know, that's one of the issues we have, is we have full-size coach buses blocking Union Street to bring partiers in to a property that is advertised as a location for large groups of people to party, and doesn't seem to require a certificate of occupancy or any of the other rules everyone else has to follow. So, those are some of the issues we're facing in the North Central neighborhood. So what's going on in East Keene isn't limited to East Keene. It's an issue that is throughout much of the city. And so I'm hoping many of the actions the city is able to take, or the council is able to take, aren't just limited to the east side, but are spread throughout the city so that we can all live in an environment we can enjoy and exist in peace. Thank you.
Counselor.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's important what everybody has stated here, but everything that people have stated here does not solve the problem. Everything they've stated here are just causing symptoms. We have a sick person in our city. We don't have housing. We can create 1,000 rooms to put homeless people in. and we can feel really good about it. We can say we've taken care of the symptoms. But how long are they going to stay in those rooms if they can't get a job and they can't pay the rent? Everything is a profit-driven motive. No one is going to build or make rooms unless they can make a profit on it. And if they can't do that, we can solve the problem, because for the people who were on the city council years ago, all they have to do, go back to the Keene Sentinel and do the big article that we had behind Hannaford's, because the people, the individual from the Sentinel won a couple awards because it was about a 4 or 5 page expose. So, yes, it's important that we take care of the people, get them off the streets, get them in a safe place for the winter. But like I said, they're all symptoms. If we can't find a way to solve the problem, just like New York, you can pay $380 a night to put a family in. It's a heck of a lot cheaper to buy them a house and put them in their own house than to pay what we do to get people off the street.
Thank you. Please.
Yeah, so you're exactly right. And I talked about that at the MSFI meeting, that a lot of these issues that we're trying to address are symptoms of a much bigger problem. And so we will address the clearing and the lighting and all the things that we can do that are relatively easy. But there's a lot of bigger things that need to happen in order to really address the problem. And so, we need to support more supportive housing projects. Now, supportive housing means housing that's affordable with supportive services, because one of the challenges I see is often we go with this housing first model and then they're not successful and they're right back out on the streets in a month. And so it has to really be accompanied with supportive services. And we need that in order to move people from shelters into housing. We need to support mobile support services to stop congregating people in a handful of communities. We are, if you look across the state of New Hampshire, there's only a handful of communities that are really dealing with the homeless problem. They are the ones that have the services. They are the ones that have the homeless shelters. And so we need to find more ways to be able to keep people in their communities instead of bringing everyone to one location. And to do that, you need to support transportation options, because one of the things that you hear is, if they move further out into the rural neighborhoods, they're not going to have transportation to be able to work and to shop. So we have to support transportation options. We don't have great public transportation options in the state of New Hampshire. We need to continue to work on statewide welfare changes. The welfare change that we were able to accomplish last year with Donovan Fenton, our senator, was great, and it was a step in the right direction, but there's so much more that needs to happen to bring every community to the table to help solve these issues. We need to find ways to use our existing shelter capacity to serve more of our community and less of the people being referred to us by 211. And I talked a little about that earlier. If everyone was just focused on addressing the people from their community, you might actually be able to make a difference. But if we continue to support everyone around us, it's really, really hard, and it's getting more difficult. And we need to create pathways for people to get the services that they need, like our social worker position at the police department. We've been talking about it for months. I've been waiting for a grant opportunity to come from the Opioid Abatement Trust Fund. I have a meeting tomorrow. I don't think they're going to create a grant opportunity for this. I think they're going with housing. I'm going to be coming back to you and saying, we have money that we've been receiving from this lawsuit. I would like to move forward. We just can't wait anymore. And that position really is meant to connect people that we are interacting with at the police department with the services that they need. So hopefully we don't keep interacting with the same people. And we need to support more mental health and other crucial support services. Mental health is a huge issue, and Unfortunately, we do not have enough providers in this region to meet the need, and it's something that we see every single day. So yes, we're going to work on the symptoms, but we are also trying to work on the larger problem as well, and it's much harder, and it'll take a lot of people and a lot of effort over a period of time, but that's how we'll be able to really make a difference.
Counselor Madison, second time.
Thank you. Just a couple things I forgot for my rant. You hit the nail on the head once again, both of you. It's housing. There's not enough places for people to live. And you just need to be in these chambers to understand why. Every time a housing proposal is brought before this council, anytime a zoning change is brought before this council, we hear everyone say, we need housing, but not anywhere near me. No, because that might hurt wetlands. Unfortunately, I missed, in my 7 years of training as an environmental scientist, my 15 years of experience, I missed that day in school where I learned that the biggest threat to wetlands is working class people having a roof over their head. I guess I forgot that day. I mean, a couple meetings ago, we had an audience clap and cheer when Habitat for Humanity project withdrew their application. I mean, how low in the barrel can you go at that point? We need to start standing up to NIMBYs and the people in our neighbors and us. We need to be willing to accept that we need to be a part of the solution. If you want housing, it needs to go near you. You can't say that, hey, working class people need to be housed everywhere but next to me. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Any further discussion? We have a motion on the floor. A lot of good discussion. I think we got a plan. A lot of work's been done. Good work by all. More work to be done. So, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? Absolutely not. Thank you. Unanimous. Acceptance of donations.
So we have a memorandum from the finance director, and this memo recommends that the council accept a donation in the amount of $20,000 from the Keene Dog Park, and that the manager be authorized to use the donation for the creation and construction of the dog park.
Counselor Remy for a motion, and Counselor Chadburn for a second.
Move to accept the donation.
Second.
I don't have a lot of details on this, but I know they've continued to fundraise after the original $40,000 that we received from them recently, and glad to see that they're continuing to fundraise. Hopefully, we're going to get results by the end of the year.
Okay, thank you. You have more info?
Yeah. Not great info, unfortunately. We just went out for bid for this project and had no bidders. So we will have to regroup and hopefully attract a bidder.
Chuck Sweeney can start his own business.
Right.
All right. All in favor? No one opposed. Thank you very much. In my inability to use my bifocals from this particular seat, I skipped over the city manager. I apologize.
It's okay.
You have the floor.
Thank you. I only have 3 things, really quick. All right, so Keene State College is beginning their master planning process for their campus, and so is Plymouth State University and UNH. They invited a member of the city staff to be part of their committee, and so our community development director, Jesse Rounds, will serve on their committee, and Parks and Rec and Facilities Director, Andy Bohannon, will be the alternate. I want to take a moment, I'm going to try and do this every month, I've asked HR to remind me, to recognize some of the longevity in our city, city employees. Patrick Fuller of the fire department was hired on 10/1 of '08. He reached his 15th year milestone. Neil Godell, Public Works, Utilities, Maintenance, hired on 10/20/08, just today reached his 15-year milestone. And then on the 21st, Corinne Marcoux from the Community Development Department, hired on 10/21/08, also reached hers. So I just want to recognize all of them for the great work that they've been doing for the city. And then lastly, some really good news related to the funding for the downtown project. I heard from you, now go out and get money. So we've been trying to get some money. And so we did apply, and this was a while ago, thanks to Don Lucier in the Public Works Department, for the State Drinking Water Revolving Loan Fund. We applied for $2.9 million related to improvements as part of the downtown project, and we were notified last month that they are tentatively offering us 60% principal forgiveness. That is $1.7 million. So that's great news for us.
Thank you. So next on our agenda, item G, we have no items under boards and commissions. H, under reports, more time, and we're going to move the item that's on more time up to the next agenda item under table items, and Mayor George Hansel presented an amendment to the Land Development Code charitable gaming facilities. It was put on the table, and we are now going to file that communications as the next couple items cover that topic. So no comments on that. We're moving on to ordinances for the first reading.
So we have a memorandum from the Community Development Director, and it recommends the mayor set a public hearing, and refer ordinance O 2023-16 to the Joint Planning Board and PLD Committee for a workshop. And accompanying that memo, we have ordinance O 2023-16, which is an ordinance relating to amendments to the Land Development Code with regard to permitted uses in the downtown core, downtown growth, and commerce districts.
Okay, we will file the memorandum and refer the ordinance to the Joint Planning Board and Planning Lands License and Development Committee, and set a public hearing for Thursday, December 7th at 7 p.m. here in the City Council chambers. Next ordinance, first reading.
And we have a memorandum, second memorandum from the Community Development Director, and this one recommends that the mayor refer ordinance O 2023-17 to the Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee. And along with the memorandum, we have an application to amend the zoning ordinance and ordinance O 2023-17 relating to amendments to the Land Development Code relating to the definition of charitable gaming facility.
And this will be referred to Planning License Development Committee for December 13th, 2023 agenda. And then the third item.
And we have a third ordinance for first reading. This is a memo from the city attorney along with ordinance O 2023-18. And this is an ordinance relating to congregate living and social services licensing.
This also be referred to Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee. With that, that's all of our public agenda. We are completed. Thank you very much. I'm looking for a motion from Councilor Bosley.
I move to go into non-public session to discuss land matters under RSA 91-A:3.
Sorry.
II.
You're still going?
Roman numeral 2D.
Still second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. This will require a roll call.
Counselor Lake,
Yes.
Counselor Remy,
Yes.
Counselor Giacomo.
Yes.
Counselor Filia.
Yes.
Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Madison.
Yes.
Counselor Roberts.
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne.
Yes.
Counselor Workman.
Yes.
Counselor Bosley.
Yes.
And Counselor Powers.
Yes. All right, so our regular meeting has been adjourned. I'd like to have Med join us and Don Lucier.